Welcome to Organize Zen Now. My name is Janie Downey. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Organize Zen is all about getting to your best work and figuring out what your best work is. I haven't even touched on that yet. Those are coming next. But figuring out what you want to do with your time, and then figuring out a peaceful way to get there that doesn't stress you out and feel like, oh my gosh, if I don't get to this today, it's never going to happen. The Zen part is a huge mental break to say everything in its time, right? And that's setting priorities and making decisions and really taking control of how you spend your time and what you spend your time doing. So if this is helpful to you, please like, please share, and please subscribe to this channel. When you subscribe to the channel, it helps other people find answers to questions that they have. And I deeply appreciate it because it's fun to help people, isn't it? I think it is. Okay, so what I'm talking about today, I promise this is my last talk I'm going to do on decluttering. So decluttering is the number one question I get when I'm giving talks on Organize Zen. It just seems to be a problem that everyone struggles with. So the two parts about decluttering I'm going to talk to you about today are on the edges of it, and I feel like that makes them even trickier than just decluttering. So if you have a cluttered apartment, a cluttered house, a cluttered office, you can see it in front of you. You can recognize that there's just a lot of stuff. You can deal with it in a way that clears it. You can buy less stuff so it's not an issue. You can put stuff back away. It's very concrete. You just have to make a decision to do it. The two things I'm going to talk to you about today are a little trickier. So the first one is something that I called aspirational clutter, and the second one is decluttering your commitments. So aspirational clutter was actually coined by a guy that was in a talk that I was giving one time. And I always ask at the beginning of a talk, what people have issues with. And he raised his hand and he said, I have 7 grand pianos. And I was like, where? And he said, I have a big barn. And I said, why? And he said, not to the barn, but to the pianos. And he said, I think I'm going to fix them up. And then I got the first one, and then somebody said, I have one, and could you fix that one too? And he said, the next thing I knew, I had 7 grand pianos. And I said, have you fixed any of them? And he said, no, I can't get to it because I have 7 grand pianos to fix. So, but it's a great term, but he called it aspirational clutter because he really aspired to have a beautiful grand piano that was fixed up. And he loved that idea. He was sold on that concept. It was a deep part of his soul. But one is enough to fix, right? If you've got 7, sometimes this happens if we have aspirational clutter. And I don't imagine you have 7 grand pianos at your house, but you might have a closet full of crafts that you've started, or a closet full of fabric because you've been making things, or a wood shop that has this great supply of stuff that you think, I'm gonna do something with that someday. The problem with 7 grand pianos or a whole closet full of stuff to me is that you've got this filter and it's just filled like this funnel to come through, this clog, because you've got too much stuff in it and nothing can come out the bottom. So the action, if you have aspirational clutter, first is to recognize it, because aspirational clutter, while it seems, it's inspiring and aspiring, it's a lot of weight in your brain. If your brain is constantly saying, are you going to get to that? Are you going to ever finish that? Did you start that and you didn't finish it? Every time you see it or even think about it, you're losing energy from your life to say, I'm not getting to that. So if you can pull out everything you've got, this is true for any kind of clutter, whether this is a closet or a desk or it's aspirational clutter. Pull out everything you've got. Take a look at it. If it's the closet, if it's the woodshed, pull it all out. Take a look at it and make some hard decisions to say, I can't get it all done, but what can I get done? And then to take a baby step to say, here's one thing out of my aspirational clutter that I am going to make my top priority. And I would base that, as all things in life, on energy. So you're looking at what you have and saying, what gives me the most joy? What gives me the most energy? Just thinking about it and then looking at the stuff I have. And then the trick with that is to put the other stuff away and to put it onto a project list and to say, I'm not going to get to all of it, but I'm going to get to this one piece. And then give yourself some kind of a deadline. It could be 3 days from now. It could be 3 weeks from now. It could be 3 months from now. But if you set a deadline, you've made a decision to yourself, and you made a commitment to yourself to say, I'm either going to get it done or I'm going to reevaluate it. Because if I'm putting it off, then maybe the energy is not there that I think. Maybe it's more of an aspiration than it is a reality, and you're not going to get to it. So put the other pieces away. If you got 6 grand pianos, you have a trick with it. But put the other pieces away, work on the one until you're done. So that one, usually I give you a talk and then an action. This is a quick action out of that to say you got too much going on if you have too much aspirational clutter, and there's a way to help clear that. Okay. The second one I'm going to talk to you about are decluttering commitments. And this one is, of course, a little bit trickier. So the commitments that you may be committed, what you might be committed to that's cluttering you are commitments where your energy is drained, where you don't feel joy. So this could be commitments at home, to how you're keeping a house. It could be commitments at work, could be committees that you're on. It could be a board that you were asked to join, could be volunteer work. It could be friends. When you've made a commitment, and here's the sign: if it's draining your energy, you tend to cancel. You tend to show up late, whether it's a friend or a committee meeting or an organizational group, or when you get there, if you find you're just completely disengaged, like you're sitting down and everybody's ready to talk and you're like, I just want to check my phone. I don't even want to be here. I didn't want to come into the building. If you feel yourself doing physical or mental eye rolls of, gosh, every time this person talks, I'm so bored, or I just heard the same thing over and over. And the problem, I think, with most commitments like that is that, one, they're not high energy and joyous, but at some level, you're not learning from them anymore, whether it's a person that you're hanging with or it's a physical commitment to a group. If you're not learning, you're not engaged, it's not spurring your curiosity, it's time to get out of that. And so that's tricky, right? Because you made a commitment, and I'll give you the action in a minute here, but I'm going to add another piece to it, which is the people part. So I love this phrase, which Julia Cameron talks about in her work. She's a writer on Changing Your Life, Artist's Way. She talks about crazy makers, and to me, that's a great term for the people in your life that drain your energy. So crazy maker, these are super tricky people to be around, right? They're the ones that show up late, they waste your time or your money. They will tell you they're not a crazy maker, that you have a problem with them, but that they are not the problem. They may deny other realities in your life. You know who these people are. You know who I'm talking about. And just a word of warning, you might be your own crazy maker if you are committing to a lot of stuff and then saying, I can do it. You may be making yourself crazy. So you're going to try to get out of that commitment as well. All right. So here's the action for this second part. The first part is making a list and figuring out which of those big aspiring pieces you want to work on. The second one takes a little bit more time. So as always, I would prescribe that you take out a pen and paper. You can work on a line sheet if that works really well for you. You're going to set aside some time because it takes time to think and you need a quiet space. So unplug, turn off music, turn off podcasts, just stop and just think. I've been working in my nice big art notebook, which I find really fun because it has no lines. And then I just titled mine Commitments Today. Like as of today, what am I committed to? And I commit to a lot of things. I've taken on a lot of new stuff recently. What I found interesting was working on this list again today was I know some of the big projects I'm working on. So I've got those in there. I have groups listed where I've made a commitment to be part of a group. But I also listed things like I'm committed to running 3 times a week, which takes time. I'm committing to biking because I've got a big bike trip coming up and I need to be in good shape to bike that. I'm also committed to sleeping 8 hours a night. I'm committed to eating healthy. So this is a mix of things, but these are things that take up my time every day. And as always with a list like this, you're brainstorming, right? So don't stop and ponder each thing deeply, just write. What am I committed to? What am I committed to? What's in my brain that says I got to get this done? Then what I thought was interesting with this is when I went through, your next step with this is to say, what on this list is high energy and what's low energy? So for me, I just put a little plus next to pieces that are high energy. You could use a color if you like that, where, yellow might be something that's high energy, or orange or red, but high energy and low energy. Use a color to you that is low energy. If you're using colors, you can use stars, but I used pluses and minuses. So I just went through, and I'm pretty picky about what I commit to. And so I've got some pretty high energy pieces on here. I don't have anything that's low energy right now, but I got some that are kind of on the border. They're kind of high energy, kind of low energy, maybe not totally my bag, or something that is a new commitment, so I'm not exactly sure how it's going to turn out. So I wanted to highlight those, and I'm going to ponder those to make sure that if they don't move to total high energy, that I'm not going to keep doing them. The other thing that I think is important with this is sometimes we commit to things and we know it's just for a short time. So right now I'm a little overcommitted. But when I went through my list, I thought, you know what? This is just through June. This is just to the end of summer. This is just through the end of July. This is through the end of summer. This is through the end of September. So your brain likes it if it knows that there's an ending to something, especially if it feels stressful to say, I'm not doing this forever, but I'm good with this through the end of July. So just knowing that and thinking, all right, there's big things I'm going to do every day, like the sleeping, eating, running. But there's also stuff that I think I'm in it for now, and then my brain's going to be clear. And in the fall, when a lot of these things wrap up, I'm going to reassess to say, all right, how do I want to spend my time now? Or do I want to actually whittle down my list? So it's a pretty straightforward brainstorm, pretty straightforward action to say what's high energy, what's low energy, and just you might be surprised. I do this stuff a lot, and I was surprised at a few things that turned up. And then the other part of the action out of that is really just to take a baby step then. So if you've made a commitment to somebody to spend time with them, and they'd be on your list, if this was family, friends, if you've made a commitment, you can't just be like, okay, done with you. Take some baby steps to say, I'm going to limit the time I'm spending. So whether this is a committee you're going to or a person you're spending time with, I'm going to limit the amount of time I'm spending. And I'm going to take some control of that. So if you're getting emails, you're getting texts, you're getting calls for work or humans, limit the time. Say, I'm not going to take that call right now. I'm going to take that call when I have time to digest this. Or I'm just going to email at the end of the day to follow up. Or I'm only going to give one day a week to actually spend time with this. Your brain likes it when you make decisions, and it also just makes you feel more in control of your time and your life. With crazy makers, you're going to get a big pushback on that, and you have to really hold firm with that, because crazy makers are really where your energy can be drained. So limit your time and say, this is the time I can allow, and this is the time I can't. Learning how to say no to things is a huge part of Zen, to say, I know what I'm working on, and this doesn't quite fit right now. And you can always be kind. And then you can also be deeply grateful to the crazy makers and to the overcommitments that you have in your life, to say, wow, I don't want to spend on my time with that because I'm trying to spend my time on this. So it helps you define what is high energy for you and what's low energy for you. Okay, I hope that helps. This is a big assignment this time, to really think about that, and then take a baby step to take some control and get some of your time back. And then down the line to say, oh, wow, I got way overcommitted on that last time. And to remind yourself, I didn't like that. It was a little hard to get out of. So I'm not going to do it again. Okay, hope it helps. If it does, please like, please share, and please subscribe, and please come back and see me again. Talk to you soon. Bye.